Well, summer is pretty much upon us, and living in southern Alberta provides a chance to explore some of the most beautiful spots in Canada and take part in some amazing outdoor activities. And some lucky individuals get to make their living in the wilderness. One such Albertan is Brent Koinberg of Crowsnest Adventures. He's a local guide and an expert on the Crowsnest area's history. And we welcome him now to Bridge City News. Brent, welcome from your truck there on the side of the highway.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Yes, unfortunately, I'm not in the backcountry where I'd prefer to be.
Right,
No cell service back there. So
right.
it's nice to come to civilization every once in a while.
But you did say your truck is full of your hiking gear, so that's a good sign.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I've got two different packs in here, plus different bear spray holsters, different bear spray.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay, well, we will get into all of that. But first of all, maybe tell us what it is about the Crowsnest Pass that makes you want to be a guide and a historian in that area.
so I grew up in the Crow's Nest Pass, born and raised there as a local. Um, I got to explore everything outdoors. We explored the old mine buildings. We got to explore the old mine shafts. We even found a lot of the old artifacts. Some of that stuff is in the Crow's Nest Pass Museum, from hard hats to lanterns to the old picks and shovels. Uh, Growing up, I never realized the impact that the area would have on me till after I left. And then when I came back, it was just, I felt more like a calling that, yeah, it was something I wanted to share with as many people as I can on just how beautiful the area is and how special it is to so many of us.
Oh, it really is. Absolutely. And for anybody who hasn't been there, I mean, we're looking at Rocky Mountains everywhere. You're basically right in the heart of them, aren't you?
We are. We've got them to the south of us, to the west of us, to the north of us. Everywhere we look, except for east, is the Rockies, and then immediately east we've got the rolling hills or the foothills, sorry, and they're absolutely beautiful as well.
Yeah. And the pass, of course, is right on the border of British Columbia.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so you grew up in the past, went away, was when you went away, that's when you really kind of felt that appreciation for it and that calling back. So where did you gain all your knowledge about the history of the past? Was that while you were growing up or was it afterwards?
So it was growing up. So my grandmother, she was Plains Cree, and she shared stories after stories with us about the indigenous history of the Crowsnest Pass. And then my father and my grandfather were both miners in the Crowsnest Pass, so I learned a lot of the mining history from them, from the old Coleman Tipple to when Byron Creek used to have mines outside of the Crow's Nest, to Westar, and now to currently with Teck having all the mines just over the border into BC. And it's something I've just gained with knowledge and continued research.
Okay, so you're a guided a tour guide, I guess. So maybe take us through what a guided day trip might include if we were to go on your tour.
So my most popular tour is to the old ghost town of Lille. So it's about a 4-hour tour, and not because it takes us like that long. We can actually hike there and back in about an hour, hour and a half. But to go through the actual whole history of it, to see some of the little hidden gems of the old train tracks, the old little cemetery, and to actually see and kind of get that sense of feeling that you're actually right in the town site on how we kind of explain it. We just go through the whole history of it. And then I go through some of the history of when the Crow Indians were there, the Blackfoot used to travel through there, and the Cree would come through as well. So we go through all that history in that area. And then later on this summer, we'll be offering hikes into the old quarries where they used to make their arrowheads as well.
Okay, and are most of your tours historical tours?
Yes. Yeah, I would say about 80% of our tours at this moment are historical tours in either mining or indigenous.
Yeah. Okay. So there's so many great places in that part of the province. So do you have maybe like a list of your top 3 favorite locations that you like to take people or that you recommend people check out in the summertime?
Yes. So I always highly suggest for the hikes Lille would be number one, just because of the history of it. The plane crash, which is in York Creek Basin. South York Creek would be probably our number 2. It would be a close number 2, 3, and then the Stark Creek Falls. It's a really short hike, but it takes you up a beautiful canyon. And then there's waterfalls that's about 25 feet in height, 30 feet in height, and it's absolutely gorgeous in there.
What is the waterfall called? I love waterfalls.
So it's Stark Creek Falls.
Okay, awesome.
We also have tons of other waterfalls in the area as well.
Aren't there? I know. I love them. I'll have to check that one out. The plane crash. I saw pictures of this on your website. It's incredible. Maybe talk about what this is. It was an old military plane that went down, right? Now it's kind of covered in like vines and bushes and stuff. It looks like something out of the show Lost, literally.
Yes. Excuse my detail. I think it was 1946. A plane was traveling from the west coast, traveling to the east coast, and come across a big storm in and around the Koinberg area. So the plane or ground last received contact with the plane around Koinberg, and then just lost all contact with the plane. Well, 2 days later, forestry officials in the town of Coleman, which is the furthest west town in the Crowsnest Pass, saw smoke coming from the mountains to the south of them. So they got a search party together and they snowshoed in and found the wreckage. Unfortunately, all 7 passengers passed away. So they retrieved the bodies, brought them home. That way they go back to their loved ones. And then now it's part of the Castle Park. And unfortunately, a lot of people over the years have taken pieces and parts of the plane out. So we're hoping that what's left of the plane between the tail section, a couple of the wings, an engine, and some other pieces and parts, hopefully people will just kind of
just leave it be, right?
Exactly.
Yes. And that was
a gorgeous hike.
Yeah. How long or how complicated is it to get in there?
So that one's not. It's not a very complicated hike. It is a longer hike. It is roughly about 19 to 20 kilometers, just depending on where you stage. If you stage way back at the snowmobile staging area, it's about 22 kilometers round trip. But it's a fairly easy hike. There's a lot of up and down, and it's got some loose rock in a couple of spots and one steep spot. All the bridges put in by the Crowsnest Pass Quad Squad are multi-use bridges, so everyone can enjoy those bridges, so you don't have to get your feet wet. Yeah, I do suggest taking lots of water because you're on an open slope for a good chunk of it. And then once you get up there, it's absolutely beautiful because there's a bigger waterfall. It's quite a bit smaller, but it's a bigger waterfall. And if you go, say, end of July, early August, you can actually crawl underneath what works is almost like a kind of a mini glacier. And it's all ice. It's hard to explain. So like right above you, it's just kind of like an ice dome.
Wow.
It's gorgeous.
That sounds incredible. Now, are there any like locations, lost places or events or anything that you've heard about that you haven't discovered yet that you would like to?
In and around the Crowsnest Pass, it's pretty hard to find new spots. Like we still discover new mine equipment that we haven't seen before, and we see stuff that new hikers will post a picture of. I'm like, I don't recognize that. So of course you gotta get all excited and get, okay, we gotta go find that. The neatest thing we did find actually wasn't by myself. It was by my brother-in-law about 5 years ago. It's called Ellison Falls, and it's not too far from Ellison Chinook Lake, and it's right on Ellison Creek. And you hike not too far from the lake, and you hike up a little valley, and there's these Ellison Creek Falls. And
yeah,
I just found them 5 years ago. Oh,
yeah,
so
I've hiked those. They're amazing.
Yeah, so I do get surprised every once in a while, and I love it when it does happen.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite places. Yeah, and I thought that everybody knew about it, but no, it's hard to find. It's really hard to find because
Yes.
I think you have to have like GPS coordinates or something. Somehow, I think we somehow just stumbled upon it. It was incredible. Do people ever ask you about the Lost Lemons mine?
So Lost Lemon Mine, it seems to have lost a lot of popularity over the years. I still get the odd question. As a child growing up, my family used to go up there, and we spent a lot of time up there in the summers. My uncle Mike had, I can't recall if it was 13 up to 18 um, different, what are they called? Where you own the mineral rights, the mine rights. So he had some 13 or 18 of those documented where he actually owned that spot. They found the Lost Lemon mine. Unfortunately, he never did it. Him and his partner Arnold Morris were always up there, and they tried for 40 years, 50 years. And I remember as a kid hearing all these stories. We did find little flakes here and there, the odd little nugget up there, but we never hit the jackpot, unfortunately.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be a gold mine, isn't it? Yeah, so apparently geologists have been saying that southern Alberta has the wrong geology for gold. So do you think that the Lost Lemons mine is more of a folklore and legendary, or do you think it's a reality, what they were actually mining?
I absolutely love to believe that it is something that is true, but I am skeptical as, like you said, we spent a lot of time up there as kids. So I don't know if we were just making the wrong spot or what, but we did find gold, and not much, like, maybe $5 here, $5 there. So it is a very, very good possibility. Stranger things have definitely happened.
Right, definitely.
Right? Yes.
Now, of course, you live in an area where there's a lot of talk about mining and natural resources in that area. So it's also a polarizing topic for the people who live in the past. What can you tell us about that?
So people are either for ethical mining or they're completely against it. So me personally, I'm for ethical mining. As much as I would love to say we don't need to continue mining coal or copper or iron ore or any of that, we still need that. As a society, we still aren't there yet to move away from that stuff. So for me, I'd like to see more controls in reclamation. So once we actually get all the coal or whatever we're mining in that area, once they have it, I want to see the reclamation in there to be better than it was before. And what I mean by better than before is there's if you look around like southern Alberta, northern Alberta with the oil sands, you can see it. We take something out of the ground, but to put it back where it sustains life. A good example is the Grassy mine. I grew up looking at the Grassy mine pretty much my whole life, and Grassy has a very hard grasses on it, so it doesn't sustain too much for animal life. But you go further up the valley into Daisy, and the grasses are a little bit different. So it's like whatever else is in the water coming out of there. It's a little hard for the grasses, so the animals don't quite like it, but they like it beyond. So I'd like to see the mine get returned to a better state.
Sure.
Before.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned animals there, and I was going to ask you too, because you mentioned you had bear spray in the back of your truck there. So
yes,
the wild animals. So have bears and cougars become a bigger issue or anything for campers and hikers?
So we do have. I don't know if they've become a bigger issue per se, because we've always had bears and cougars in the area. Cougars, fortunately, we don't see very often, but we do hear more about them due to social media. And same with bears. We do have a really healthy abundance of bears in our area, from black bears to grizzly bears. We also have one of the highest concentration of colored phased bears. So we can't judge a bear by if it's, a blonde looking bear. It's not a grizzly. It is a very good chance it's a black bear. It's just a blonde color faced bear. But social media has really brought them to light.
Okay, yeah, absolutely it has. I would certainly agree with you there. But Brent, unfortunately, we're running out of time here. But thanks so much for joining us today and telling us about all these amazing, cool spots, which we must check out this summer. I know I'm gonna add them to my list.
Please do check us out. By all means, come on down. We'd love to take you out for a tour as well.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much. That was Brent Koinberg of Crowsnest Adventures joining us from the Crowsnest Pass area, actually his truck there. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.